Hello, welcome to the Ducking Review Show, episode 2.5. So we normally give you our podcasts every 2 weeks, I'd say, and obviously they're all focused on our trailer reviews. This is our first bonus podcast. And we've all been really enjoying Better Call Saul, and we thought, seeing as the season's just finished, we've got a few things to talk about it. Thought we'd do a little recap and share our thoughts of the whole season. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Don't listen to this if you're planning on watching it. Unless you don't care about spoilers.
If you've not watched Breaking Bad as well, because I think we'll mention that at some point and spoil that, especially as we talk about the beginning of Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
If you've not seen Breaking Bad either, don't listen.
That's a good place to start, isn't it? It's the sequel, prequel to Breaking Bad.
Shall we talk about who's the character as Saul is? He plays he's a lawyer character, isn't he? He's kind of you call it a shyster lawyer, I guess, wouldn't you? He's a bit like a dodgy lawyer.
He's a criminal lawyer.
Criminal lawyer, yeah. Saul Goodman, the character in Breaking Bad, he's kind of like the glue to some of Walter White and Jesse's sort of organisation. Sort of enters in at like episode.
Well, it comes in season 3.
Is it as late as that? I thought it was season 2.
Well, it might be season 2, but it's at the end of it if it is season 2.
Yeah, where they want to get their stuff together and they kind of need some help. I guess he's the legal representation.
Yeah, he's the legal representation. He launders their money and things like that. And probably more
standard lawyer stuff.
Yeah. Standard dodgy lawyer stuff.
Dodgy lawyer stuff.
So kind of what happens to him at the end of Breaking Bad is he knows a guy who can get you a new identity and a fresh start somewhere else, and that's where it finishes for him.
And also where this starts.
But then this starts where Breaking Bad's left for him, really, where he's working at this Cinnabon, which sells like Danish pastries sort of things,
which he mentions in. It's the penultimate, isn't it? It's one of like Ozymandias near the end, and he says like this guy or whatever, he can get rid of you, and Saul mentions in that episode something about a year later or a year from now I'll be working in a Cinnabon.
So that's kind of where this starts. He's actually living that description, and
he's very sort of paranoid, isn't he?
Yeah, well, the episode starts, it's all in like black and white. It's as a theme, like you can tell when something's happening by the colour.
No, I love that though, because the first episode starts and it's all in black and white, it's depressing, and he sits down and he goes through his like little box of his old Saul Goodman
VHS
trailers.
His adverts.
Is it in the reflection of his glasses?
He's watching it, and the adverts are in colour. Then you get your little bit of the credits, which I kind of like the credits on it, because it's like literally like about 3 seconds.
I love the whole style of the actual whole series. Like I think it's just been really well put together. It looks really
it's very Breaking Bad, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's cool in a good way. It's not like a complete copy, but it's got like the stylised elements.
The montages and
it's
things
well
like
shot. And like that for me, just right off the bat, seemed like an awesome start. Like it picks up from the past.
Yeah, I mean,
you've enjoyed the whole series.
I've enjoyed the series. I thought it was good, different than maybe I expected it. I didn't know what I was expecting.
Different good, different bad.
Just different. I was worried, I guess, thinking, is it going to be any good? Is it just going to try and be Breaking Bad? And I think it's kind of doing its own thing, keeping some of the kind of look and same sort of style of cinematography and editing and everything is.
And the storylines and the writing's always been brilliant in Breaking Bad. And my worry was that like the storylines weren't going to be
good.
Yeah, not going to be as strong.
I think by not trying to be Breaking Bad and trying to treat it more about like the lawyer sort of program, it's about law, and the workings of that and the systems of that, as well as the character-driven stuff. It's not about like drugs, like what Breaking Bad's about, or it's kind of like the effect of that on a family. This is kind of still has its family things, but rather than it being the kind of the nuclear sort of family of like, you know, mum, dad, a couple of kids, it's siblings. It's about grown-up siblings.
It's almost, I suppose, touches on sibling rivalry, doesn't it? Later on, with the revelations.
I like
Chuck.
Yeah, I loved all the whole Chuck thing, and like his. So, I guess this last episode we sort of revealed some of the reasons why Saul is in the situation that he's in with the Chicago sunroof. He defecates through the sunroof.
Yeah, I mean,
the whole scene in the bingo hall where Saul has his breakdown.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go back to something that I was meant to say about expectations of what I thought this was going to be. I thought it was going to be a real, like, each episode was going to be an open and shut story and just different cases. It was just going to be like Joey, the series Joey from Friends, where it's a week spin-off.
Well, I thought, because they said, like, it's about lawyers and all this, and I thought, right, it's going to be like LA Law or something, you know,
Law
and it's
Order.
like, or whatever, and it'd be like each week will have a different case, and it kind of maybe does start off a little bit like that, but then it becomes a little bit more an overarching story and another different case, but because you got the
Breaking Bad in terms of breaking Saul.
Yeah.
When does Jimmy become Saul
that's
Goodman?
it. I mean, we have not really touched on that. Like, you know, we've been referring to him as Saul, but he's actually called Jimmy McGill, and that's his real name. So Saul's a different identity that he's yet to have.
Slip into.
Yeah, and he's Jimmy McGill, but in the past he was a bit of a con man. This is up in Chicago, and he got into some trouble in Chicago, and his brothers like bailed him out.
Yeah.
Well, represented him and got him let off a case where he was on trial for being a sex offender, for shitting through someone's sunroof.
Horrific.
Well, little did he know that this guy's two kids were in the back of the car, so he was getting in trouble for indecent exposure.
But it's that nice touch of humour with like a dark. It's really dark humour, which I think like is jumped across from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
There's so many funny bits in it. That one being particularly funny.
I mean, that was and that information isn't something you get until actually the last episode.
Yeah.
And it explains a little bit about the relationship between Chuck and Saul. Yeah. Oh, it's Jimmy. And Chuck, by the way, is played by one of the guys from Spinal Tap, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's the guy with the blonde hair out of Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
That's who he plays him. I can't think of his name.
I didn't recognise him. I think it was you that told me that.
Yeah.
I looked it up. Other cameos that I've really enjoyed include Trevor out of GTA.
Yeah, the guy who Mike disarms, shall we say. I don't really want to spoil that scene in... Well, you've seen it.
This is full of spoilers.
We're just going to spoil it. We've established that we've spoiled it already.
Yeah.
So basically it's Mike. I mean,
best
for me,
episode? The
best episode, and for me the best parts were the parts that did have Mike in it, I think.
Yeah.
Better Call Mike.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. And I think because like Mike... probably one of my favourite characters in Breaking Bad. I mean, I like Saul, but I think Mike was... He even talks about it in the show. He's an honest criminal.
Yeah, but it's such a good character to like have as like this second thing for the show to pivot round. A second character. It's a good character to bring back into it. And it does make sense because
it's Saul that introduces Walter to Mike.
Yeah.
In Breaking Bad, so you know.
It's just much more complicated than I was expecting it to be.
But that's it. From Breaking Bad, you don't really know much about him.
No.
You know that he's got a granddaughter, and that's it.
Yeah, we find out more about Mike and that the reason why he came to New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that for me has been like a really enjoyable element to it. Just seeing more Mike. The more Mike in episode, the more I enjoy it.
Yeah. Like I like how Mike came into it as well. How he's the guy in the little car park exit, and every episode, like from in the beginning, like as Jimmy / Saul is doing like cases, he gets stamps.
Defence lawyer, wasn't he? Yeah,
he's a defence lawyer, and he gets stamps, and he's got to have 3 stamps, then he can get out the car park for free. And he's always like 1 stamp short. And you get them like back and forth every time, and it's definitely like they don't really like each other at all. They don't get on, but then
he's Jesse. So you've got that kind of Jesse Walt dynamic still going on with Saul and Mike
in a way,
between them. Like there is that element of like you say, it develops that like angst between them.
Yeah.
But then that brilliant episode with the Kettlemans and they've got the money. They've all got the money, and
Mike goes in and gets it.
Yeah, Mike goes in and does Mike stuff to go and get the money. That was brilliant. I love just watching Mike be Mike.
Yeah, there's that, and there's a scene where he, with the guns in the car park, and how he disarms Trevor from GTA, and he smacks him in the throat with the butt of his own gun, and then completely disarms him. It's so funny.
He does a classic Mike line as well, where the guy says, "So, what you packing?" or something like that.
Yeah,
and he goes, "Pimento." And he goes, "What's that? I've never heard of that." And he goes, "Pimento cheese." Talking about his sandwich.
That's so funny.
But then that is really good, because like you find out that he's done that Mike thing where he does his research about it, and I forgot that, even though we know Mike does that, I forgot that that's the Mike thing.
You don't
until
ever
the end.
see him do it in Breaking Bad. You just know he comes in and he does the job. And
but he makes mention of it, because Thingy's always asking him about people. What's this person like? What's this person like? And he does his background checks, and it totally slipped my mind until like we don't have a name for him, do we? The pharmaceutical guy that is selling the pills to the drug guys, and he's like, "How did you know we didn't need a gun?" And he's like, totally knows that he's doing a job on the sly from Tuco.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about the fact that Tuco.
Yeah, Tuco, who's in the first episode, who is...
Second episode, isn't it?
He comes in at the end of the first episode, doesn't he? He's
a
cliffhanger, isn't he? You get the first episode, and that's the moment where you're like, "Oh man, it's Tuco Salamanca from Breaking Bad," and you kind of lose it a bit. Then it finishes, and you go like, "What?" The classic Breaking Bad.
Every episode's nearly had me doing that.
Yeah, apart from the last one.
Did you like the last episode?
Yeah, it was. It was good, but for me, well, it did what it needed to do. But it's the case of usually with any series, the last episode's not the best one. It's usually the one before. You look at Game of Thrones.
Even Breaking Bad, that last.
And Breaking Bad, the best episode of Breaking Bad wasn't the last 2. It was the one before.
Yeah. Well, the last 2 served as sort of a
it's
epilogue. Is that the right word?
Well, you could have finished it after the Ozymandias. I don't know how you say it, but that episode. But then you get the proper ending, and it all gets wound up. But that's like, by the time the last 2 episodes happen, it's meant to be so many months later, isn't it?
Yeah. But overall, good series.
It's been a good series. I think it was different than I thought it would be. There's been some really good funny bits. There's been some, really good drama, and there's really interesting relationships and between like the Chuck and Jimmy.
Does so much for him.
I think relationship between Jimmy and is it Kim, his friend, who's a female lawyer at his
Kim.
Yeah.
This whole like, what's the name of the Chuck's partner that he tries to emulate? Hamlin to really annoy. Like, I'm sure that's more to annoy him than anything else.
Yeah, I suppose.
To me, it seemed. Oh, but it's more than that, isn't it? It's to fit in.
It's that sort of like, he thinks if he dresses and looks like Hamlin. Because doesn't even go to the point of dyeing his hair.
Yeah, the same hair and dresses as him, and then
does a billboard.
We're totally like, we're kind of skimming over the whole thing here, and not really
all
going
over
into
the place, but who cares?
The detail of it. And I think
just enjoy it, man.
If you've watched it, which you will have done if you're listening, you'll probably be able to decipher what we are talking about. But I mean, what we really want to do is say, like, we really liked it. Well, I really liked it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes next, and seeing, who possibly might even come into it in the future. I don't think Walt will or Jesse, but I think Hank
Hopefully
Hank, who works with the DEA, he should come into it.
Got to be in
I
it.
can see him coming into it because he's the sort of person he'll cross paths with. Being like a dodgy lawyer for dodgy people, he's someone he's going to come into contact with.
And he's already got that link with Mike, and Mike's got that link with that drug deal.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm also wondering, is following Mike, is Gus going to come into it?
Because we don't know how early on he started setting things up, but his operation's so big, he must come into it at some point soon.
Well, I don't know. And is it going to be a case of, like, if Gus comes into it, will it ruin some of his mystique?
Yeah, it might.
You know? But maybe not. I mean, it's quite interesting because Mike is obviously, like, by the time it's Breaking Bad, to me it seems like Mike's main job is working for Gus.
Yeah, that is his. Yeah, I'd see it the same as well. Yeah, and he's on his journey towards that, isn't it? So I believe that it would make sense that these characters come in. That's kind of where I'm seeing it going in the next series, which is something worth talking about. I think. Where do we see how many seasons? And
oh god,
and how many was Breaking Bad? They claim it was 5, but it was 6.
It was 6. Let's call it 6. So if they match that, which they might, because at the moment, see, episode for episode, it's been the same amount of episodes for this season, and rumoured to be the same amount of episodes as season 2 of Breaking Bad for Better Call.
Was it? Because wasn't like season 1 of Breaking Bad like 6 episodes?
Was it 6? God,
6 or 7.
Got that wrong.
There's the odd point quashed.
I'm pretty sure the first season of Breaking Bad is like 7 episodes. I remember it as being a short episode. You won't really get the seasons as well as I do because I watched it season.
Yeah, you did. I binged the hell out of it. I came to it late, but
I came to it later.
Yeah.
Had it already finished when you watched it? Or?
Oh, it had been finished for about a year, I think. By
really?
the time I watched it, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I was amazed that I'd managed to get to the end without knowing the ending so much.
Yeah, I do remember now. You were like, "Shut up," quite a lot, and all I want to do is talk about it. There was rumours that Better Call Saul is going to run as, I think it's even at the beginning that said it, as a prequel, during, and after.
It's kind of, well, it hasn't done that yet, but they've obviously covered the bulk of it before.
Yeah.
The Cinnabons afterwards,
They've had after. I mean, I don't know, I'm going to kind of go back to something I started to mention. Like how the beginning of it was in black and white, and I don't know if you noticed, like, to help you be able to tell the difference, like, what was happening when. Yeah, definitely. Everything, like, anything that was in the past had a blue tint to it.
I didn't notice that.
And anything that was the present within the time frame of that show was like the normal kind of warm sort of palette. Yeah. And then the bit that was after was in black and white.
Thinking about it now, actually, it does make sense. The bits
because the episode that was all about Mike. Yeah. That was practically all in the like kind of bluiness.
Yeah. The last one, the bits with Marco when it cuts back to the bars, he's coming in to see him. I thought it goes quite dark there, but that makes sense, doesn't it? Sort of the blue hue.
I like it.
Him with his colour.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Did you like the last episode, Matt?
Yeah. When I first watched it, I thought, oh god, that was brilliant. Yeah, amazing. And then thinking back, I was like, it was a bit sort of bitty. Yeah. And the ending was a bit cut and dry, which is a bit out of the ordinary. Did it rush to it too?
I don't know what the right word for this is, but like when I imagine spin-off series and things like that, and like seasons and series that aren't as like good and as well put together as Breaking Bad, they have those kind of endings that that Better Call Saul ended on, where it's borderline kind of like cheesy, and it's a bit rushed, and it did fall into that where he was like, I liked it when he was speaking to Mike saying, "What stopped you?" And you've got like the whole Mike ethos of like, I did the job, that was the job, I don't do any more. And then there was like Saul saying, well, I know what it was that stopped me and never again. That wasn't too bad, but then when it was going into
it was a little bit.
But then that was kind of, isn't that like what's his friend called? Marco, the guy back in Chicago, wasn't he like singing that at some point in the episode or something?
Oh, really?
It's when he was waiting for him in the alleyway. Do you know when they're
of
pulling the little stunt?
Yeah.
He sings that.
So it's kind of like I think that's why I smoke.
Right.
You know,
that's that kind of like badass thing. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. It was cool how the ring that Michael wears is the ring that he wears in Breaking Bad. So he's got his first bit of
he's suited
kit.
Up. Saul, sorry. You said Marco, you threw me there.
Well, Michael has the ring, doesn't he? It's Michael's ring, and Michael's mum gives it to him.
Yeah.
And then he's got it on his little finger, which is a bit like, oh God, what is it that happened? It's a little bit like, you know, in The Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
Right, yeah.
And at the beginning of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, even though it's the third one out of that Dollar trilogy.
Yeah.
And there's a certain costume, outfit that he wears in his uniform. And throughout The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, he gradually picks up each piece of the costume. So that by the end of the film, he's dressed it as it. So that's like a prequel. And it's nice, I think that's kind of what they did there. It's got the first bit of the costume, his ring.
What did stop him when he says to Mike, right, and he says, and I know what stopped me, and I'm not going to let it stop me anymore. Do we definitively know what that
Chuck,
was?
Isn't it?
His brother. What drives in them, and what does he want? Because for me, this is the only thing that, like, not the only thing, but one of the things that really bothers me. I'm thinking, Saul kind of like wants the money, because he talks about the money. We had all that money, but there was quite a lot of money on the table for doing that law case that he helped to build and was offered to him.
Well, he got 20 grand up front and then probably back end
20% of whatever.
20%. So he's looking at like a couple of $100.
And they've had to join two large firms together to fight the case, and they offered him to work on the case. So it's not the money. That to me, it doesn't make sense. Is it the money that he wants?
He was always trying to
impress his brother.
Yeah, he wanted to be on par with his brother.
So it's about
he can't get that. So like what?
Prestige.
Yeah.
It's in prestige. He likes the capers, he likes being Slippy Jimmy, he likes Slippy Jimmy.
Slippy Jimmy. Not one moment.
Oh God.
No,
Slipping Jimmy.
But like his mate's just died now.
Yeah.
Right, who he used to do like cons with. And he's like, he's got that ring, and he's like that. His mate like liked him for who he is, you know, and like Chuck, kind of didn't like him.
He was always trying to be someone else.
He was always trying to be someone. This clean cut thing that wasn't him.
But we see that scene where he's getting suited up, like we talked about, to copy him, and we almost see a Saul Goodman style shirt.
Yeah, he looks at
it, doesn't he?
The other part of the costume.
That's this kind of shirt I want to wear, but I've got to wear this. And what he wants to do, he just wants to be himself. And what he is, he's a con man. He's a what's the word? Like a grifter, isn't he?
Yeah, a grifter. He gets a kick out of that, doesn't he? Because he didn't go back and...
Because he had the opportunity to be like this lawyer and be successful as a lawyer, and you know, but that's not what he wants to do. And he wants to do it like he wants to do it, and he wants to just make the money he can by cheating the system and doing whatever, which ultimately, obviously, leads to his downfall. And what's going to be interesting is to see what happens from here. So he's on the road now to becoming the character that we know that he's going to become.
But he's still... So we know where he's going to get to, and we kind of know where he's at the moment. And like you said, we've still got a bit of the journey to go to. But he still needs to be smarter and sharper than he is. He still needs to mix that kind of smart lawyer thing that he's got going on and Slippin' Jimmy. They haven't combined to become... Because he's pretty smart in Breaking Bad.
Well,
he's good at getting people out of jams.
He doesn't know enough about law. He doesn't know the intricate
He's not
little
practiced
things.
in being a bench
so
lawyer.
And he knows what he needs to know to talk to cops and get people out of things. He's going to learn the loopholes. He's not going to learn the law and how to win a case properly. He's going to learn the loopholes that will make you get acquitted.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Get a case
dismissed.
Case thrown out of court. Is that what I was trying to say?
Yeah.
Slipping Jimmy out of it.
So he's going to work at being like the con man and work out the ways of getting around the law rather than learning the law. That's his angle, isn't it?
So are we looking at season 2 could well be what we're on about with Case, and each episode's like kind of like a different case. There might be like an arc that goes throughout. But it's
there will be an arc that goes throughout, but I think you'll get a bit of
learning the trade,
him taking on customers, and we got to see him get out of that little back room, which is really funny. That room, he's got a little office in the massage parlour, which is the place that he tries to get Walt to buy, so he can
Skylar as well.
Skylar, trying to get him to buy so they can launder the money for it. It's really funny how he's in the back room of that, and that's where he used to work out of.
I love how that's his headquarters. It's dead sleazy as well. Like that's where he lives, and he's like using all their like cucumber bits, and like he's on the massage chair, and like just sort of living in that weird sort of like beauty salon
in a broom cupboard.
In a broom cupboard, it was like Well, there's lots to happen. I'm gutted that I've got to wait a year. There's other things to watch and do.
Stuff on from now.
Yeah.
We've got Game of Thrones starts on Monday. There's lots of stuff around.
Daredevil.
That starts soon.
Fancy.
True Detective will be back soon.
That I'm really looking forward to.
I still haven't seen the first series.
Right, watch it.
I'm pretty sure it'll come on as a box set on Sky now, which I have.
Yeah. Get that.
Just before the programme starts.
Get it watched, it's really good.
Fortitude too. That's
that's something to watch, so I'll have to binge that. Or I might not watch it, I don't know. You can't watch everything, can you?
It's good.
Right. I think next week we're going to be bringing back to our
normal formula, isn't it?
Yeah.
We haven't decided on the trailers.
No, we've still got to decide upon that. This is, like I said, our first bonus podcast, and what we're thinking is it's not going to be every week, but we're going to do a few bonus podcasts, and we're going to be sticking to films, but they're going to have a theme and giving our feedback and views. So I think our first one is going to be action films.
Action movies from the 80s.
Action films from the 80s.
I think we need to be looking at a certain type of action movie. So science fiction action and like 80s action is slightly different.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Because one's slightly more like has a bit more finesse than the other.
Well, not necessarily, but I'm thinking like
this is off the heels of talking about Fast and Furious 7, isn't it? And we were talking about that old 80s action. So
saying that is like if we're gonna do the 80s, and it's like two films, action movies from the 80s.
Rambo 2.
Well, I was thinking like Die Hard and Predator. And I know that they're the same director, and he did them consecutive years, so I kind of don't want to have them in the same one. I like to do them both. So, like, we could do sci-fi action movies, which would cover Aliens, Terminator, Predator. Yeah. And I guess that's kind of a nice little group to do.
Trio.
Yeah, and then we can do action movies now. We kind of mentioned, I definitely want to do Commando.
Yeah, I want to do Commando.
I'd like to do Mad Max 2 as well, actually, because you've not seen Mad Max 2. So that would be really good to do.
Right, so these are all... We've got time to discuss this, but you could see a theme, and we're going to slot these sort of in between our regular Ducking Review show of trailer reviews, I guess. And keeping up on top of all the latest sort of cinema releases and what we think the film's going to be like in a really sort of amateurish way that you will come to love. But we really like this idea of fitting in these sort of like 0.5 podcasts, so these bonus pods.
Yeah, I think the idea is it will be nice to actually review something that's not just a trailer and review the actual film.
We hope you like it.
And it'll be good that most people will have seen
the films to talk about. And also if you have like suggestions of what we could do as sort of themes or films that fit in with a theme that we're going to suggest, so like this time it's 80s action films, then obviously tweet us at the Ducking Pod. Or go to www.theduckingreviewshow.com, and there's all sorts of ways of getting in touch with us there. But
is it at the Ducking Pod, or isn't it just at Ducking Pod?
It's at Ducking Pod.
Yeah.
Good catch. But please let us know what you think we should be doing, and join us next week where we'll be going back to standard formula, and we're looking at 3 different films and 1 retro trailer review.
Oh, yeah, bye.
Bye.